Welcome to the club, to our Advaita Vedanta Satsang house. After a small hiatus, we had a few rooms that was reshuffled because of a different schedule, but we are back on track now. We are on the 38th session on Aparokshanubhuti, which is Bindoji's very concerted effort in getting this from Shankaracharya's interpretations of Aparokshanubhuti, which was the reference text pinned above is from Swami Vimuktananda, where you have a kind of word-to-word translation of the text. And if you are well-versed in Sanskrit, you can also use and which Bindoji uses as reference. So that's one of the reasons we posted in the chat. But if you know Sanskrit, then that is another text that you can use to follow. And all the other 37 sessions and previous rooms Bindoji has talked about the Upanishadic framework. That's all available on the Advaita Retold channel, which is well catalogued. Or you can catch on the back saved replays in Clubhouse. And with that context, a few housekeeping. I'll close the chat and the hand raising for the time being for about an hour when Bindoji goes through the process of elaborating the 38th session that we are having, and then it'll be available open again if you have any questions or clarifications. And as Bindoji always says, don't feel shy, just come up and ask the questions, because that's what he wants as a part of the whole process of this exercise. So thank you, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Welcome all. We have been having holidays due to the ongoing festive season in India, where people could not attend. So with all that culmination of it in yesterday's thing, we'll start today with the continuation of Aparokshanubhuti where we stopped. So as usual, let me do my invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vanshārishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Logashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutravashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishwaro Gururatmedi Murtibheda Vivakine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Aparokshanubhuti. Sri Harim Paramanandam Ubadeshtaramishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. So, after having completed the explanation into the truth, the reality, that what we are, not what we think we are, has been laid out very clearly by Shankaracharya in the verses up to the 100th verse. And from there, after he is now giving us the methodology of achieving this Aparokshanubhuti, or the inner realization of who we are, using the same technologies of, yama, niyama, etc. But the definitions of yama, niyama, etc., which is there in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and what is being advised by Adi Shankara, are totally different from their applications point of view and definitions point of view. So the verses starting with Sarvam, that is teaching that the whole world from space to the body is nothing but Brahman, is the verse which is started. There are 21 verses thereafter where he is going to define that. This is to be understood through the method of Bhada Samanya Karanam. Bhada Samanya Karanam is co-reference under sublation, in the sense that where we have a tree or a stump mistaken for a man, and later being recognized that the reality is only a stump or a tree, what happens is that there is a samana adhikaranam, means common reference. We are not saying that two things are identical. That is, what you are seeing on your left is identical with what you are right. There is no right or left. There is only one. That is why it is not that way. It is saying that when you are seeing something, you are actually seeing not the thing which you should be known or understood, but you think that is something different. For example, a tree or a stump or a post is what is the reality. But due to the lack of light or some other confusion which we have, we thought that somebody is standing behind the window or somebody is standing behind that particular place where we have no clarity of vision, or we did not understand that properly. So the misunderstanding or misapprehension of the stump or the tree gave rise to the apprehension that it is a man or somebody standing there. But there are no two different things. There are only one thing which is there. The reality is that it's a tree, but we thought it is a man. So in the same reference, co-reference, when we sublate what is not reality, we land up in the reality. That is the Bada Samanya Adhikaranam. So this is the way in which Shankaracharya wants us to understand that we are thinking we are the mind, body, intellect complex, or the human being, or as our individuality is concerned. But when we analyze that, as per the 100 verses he did, what is the body, what is the realization, what is the experiences, when we do all those analysis, the I, or the one which we think we are, is not present in any of the things which we think we are. Neither our mind, nor our physical being, nor our intellect, nor anything which we think it is I or mine. It is all objects for me, therefore it cannot be me. They are all contents of my awareness or consciousness or knowledge. So what is a content inside the awareness and consciousness and knowledge cannot be the awareness or consciousness or the knowledge, which is the reality. So when we think that we are the body, it is just like we are thinking that there is a man and actually the reality is a tree. Same way, we are the consciousness and awareness all the time, every time, and everywhere. There is nothing other than that. That is what is being perceived as both the phenomenal world and me in the phenomenal world as an observer or knower or a person who is knowing the phenomenal world. So this core reference of awareness or consciousness, which is now being considered as the phenomenal world, has to be sublated. For that are the methods called yama, niyama, etc. Now, how do we do that? For this conviction arises from self-mastery, where restraint, samyama, of 11 senses. Each one clearly sees the defects of the object, sound, and the rest are namely perishable, excess, tendencies causing suffering, etc. What are the 11 senses? Shabda, sparsha, rasa, rupa, gandha, that is sound, vision, etc. of the senses of perception. that is 5 of them. Then senses of action, like hands, legs, etc. That is called another senses of organ of action. That is also sense organ only. Because we are, by touch, when we are knowing, we have the equipment of skin, which is being used for the purpose of touch. And then assimilating both the senses of perception and senses of action is done by the mind. Therefore, the 11th one is the mind. So when we see that everything what we are observing or knowing, apprehending, is through these 11 sense organs, and therefore not only the sense organs are different from me because they are tools for me. The eyes are not the ears are not the smell, etc. Same way hands are not legs are not hands, etc. When we know that these are the things which are independent and separate, but the feeling of minus or I is total. It is not that I am eyes or I am the ears, etc. So there is a total entity which is beyond the senses. Therefore, the objects like sound, etc. are limited in their performance and understanding. One is the limitation, therefore it is not infinite. Second, the tendency for them is they are perishable. Perishable in the sense that they do not last ever. What is seen today is not seen tomorrow, or what was seen yesterday is not there available for today. Like that, these tendencies of, perishability is also causing me what you call suffering, because what I thought is mine is gone, and therefore I feel a suffering for that purpose. Therefore, when knowing these things, that I am not the sense organs of both perception and action or the mind, and the objects through them are all impermanent and futile, in the sense that they are not me and I am permanent, because I am knowing the changes, therefore I am the changeless. And this yama must be practiced consistently, constantly by us whenever we are engaging in the phenomenal world. The engagement in the phenomenal world is not possible for us to not to happen. But we have the potency to know the reality of them. When we do not know the reality, we get confused and confounded. And then there is I-ness and minus. Therefore, when we are engaging in the phenomenal world, with the knowledge when we are engaging that these are objects for sense organs and they are impermanent, ephemeral, and I am not them. They are just objects or contents for me, and I should not be getting attached to them, will release me from the sufferings. Now, having understood the yama, we should next know what is niyama. Niyama means the continuous flow of consciousness of the reality, which in other words is called Brahma cognition or Sajadiya Pravaha. What is Brahma cognition? There are two types of it. It can be either a stream of mental states with the same form as Brahman, the supreme reality, which is not different from me. But that is easy said than understood. How is that I am Brahman? It is not possible for us to initially come to this conclusion, even though the teacher has taught us that we are the Satchidananda Brahman. Or there can be a flow of affirmations which will withdraw us from getting confounded or confused with the phenomenal world and the individuality in the phenomenal world, by affirming ourselves that I am that pure, unattached, changeless awareness, centered or established as the self or Brahman. When we are doing this, we also have to reject vijadiya vrittis or heterogeneous thoughts which are making us thinking that, I am the physical body, I am the one who is seeing, I am the one who is hearing. Actually, there is no hearing or seeing or actions in me. I am the awareness. In awareness, there is no action. It is just like in the sun, there is no what you call lighting of objects. The sun is a luminous object, and anything comes in within the luminosity of the sun becomes automatically lit. Sun has no role to illumine the earth or the planets around it. But we say that the sun is shining on the moon, the sun is shining the sun is shining during daytime. In the night, the other side, sun is not shining. Even when it is night, the sun is shining. Only thing is that we are on the dark side of the earth, where the sun is lighting the side where it is the daytime, and we are in the night time, that the other opposite side of it. Same way, the Atman or Brahman or the consciousness or the nature of our true nature is that we are always awareness. It is not that we are aware of things. No. There is no activity in us. This thought that we have activity is the heterogeneous thoughts or the vijadiya vritti. We need to be aware of that. In me, there is no action. I am not the doer. My mere presence as consciousness or awareness is what is happening, but actually speaking, the identification with the sense organs and the individuality and the mind and the intellect and the body, we say that I am seeing, I am hearing, I am touching, I am sensing, I am feeling, etc., etc., etc. All these are thought to be our activity, but there is actually speaking, there is no activity in us. In my awareness, when the sense organs first is in contact with the object, that depending on the nature of the sense organ, I will say I am seeing, or I am hearing, or I am touching. But actually speaking, there is no activity in me. So this activity, when it is happening, rejecting the activity as mine and abiding that I am the awareness in which there is no activity in awareness, there is no activity should be the way in which niyama should be practiced. So having known the limitations of the sense organs, and now the way in which the same sense organs need to be handled as controlled is by the two words yama and niyama. The third one was tyaga. The typical definition of tyaga is to, renounce. But the way in which Shankaracharya wants us to understand tyaga of the practice is, it is also defined in the Patanjali thing, where it is, is what you call, we have to abstain, withdraw by engaging in things, is how Patanjali has said. But Shankaracharya says that no, this prapancha rests upon the substratum of the shining of my Swarupa. By recognizing that this nature of shining or the nature of awareness as my nature, which is consciousness, self-luminous Brahman, and not an inert one where I need to be, withdrawing from the awareness. I cannot. The sun cannot withdraw its light from illumining the moon or the earth or the planets. But at the same time, the sun is not illumining it. The presence of sun makes us feel that it is illumining the sun and the moon and the moon and the earth, etc. Same way, knowing that this world of phenomenon is shining or known or being felt or being, consumed, as if being consumed by the individuality, is a feeling which is being created because of the presence of the consciousness of that awareness. When I realize that I am that supreme consciousness or self-luminous Brahman, and the presence of my nature, the phenomenal world appears to be objects. They are not objects separate from the awareness. Because it is being perceived through the sense organs, we call it as a world of name and forms or qualities. This indifference towards the phenomenal world, when the knowledge that I am the self, awareness, consciousness, Atman or Brahman, will develop an indifference in us, not getting attracted or engaged with volition to be, a consumer of the phenomenal world. That indifference is upeksha, or what is called the tyaga in the Advaitic sense. That is the true meaning of tyaga, which is to be practiced by us. And the Upanishad very clearly says that Isha Vasimidam Sarvam. When the Upanishad mentioned that, it is that which is in the light of which everything becomes lit. I am that light. The lighting is not my activity, but in my presence, everything appears to be lit. That is the way in which Upanishad is telling us to understand the nature of our own reality. That supreme state of bliss, awareness, consciousness, Satchidananda, when we understand that this indifference or tyaga will become a path for liberation for the seeker from the entanglement with the phenomenal world, and which gives rise to, activity and rituals, etc., and, the consequences of action and reaction, etc. This is which entangles us with the phenomenal world. Now let us move towards today's verse, the 107th one. Yasmat vacho nivartande aprapya manasas saha yan maunam yogibir gamyam tad bhavet sarvada buddha. So we saw that the wise should always be one with that silence from word. Words together with the mind turns back without reaching it. But it is attainable by the yogis. Now how does this is defined by Vidyaranya? Atha Mounam lakṣayati. Yasmat iti. Shadda pravritti nimitta jāti kriya dehe abhavat manovācāma yan maunam vaktam ashakyam yad brahma tadepi yogibirgamyam jnanabiyogivihi pratyagavinnattvena prapyam tat prasiddhattvena brahma rupam maunam sada sarvada buddho viveki bhavet hamsasmi ahamasmi tyat anubandha sandhya ityartha. Atha maunam lakṣayati. Now, maunam is being characterized. What is that? Yasmat iti shabda pravritti nimitta jāti kriya adehe abhavat. Yasmat. That is what is from which or because shabda pravritti nimitta. Due to the verbal or the names and forms or the nomenclatures, there is jāti or the classification of this phenomenal world. And the classification of the phenomenal world gives rise to kriya or action. If I am visually engaging, there is a name attached to the visual thing. It is blue or white, etc. is by the sense organ of eyes. If I am saying it is, the sound is loud or appears to be that of a lion, appears to be that of a cuckoo, or appears that to be a human being, that is again another classification based on sound, etc. So, based on that, I can say I am hearing the sound of an animal, I am hearing the color of a blue bird, etc. But when I am abstaining from this, that these are my activity, then what happens is that this nomenclature what I have been using, whether it is by the sense organs or the sense organs actions, becomes absent. And when the nomenclature and the words and everything becomes absent, that becomes the silence. It is not the silence observed by the words or the tongue or the uttering of the word, which is being referred by Shankaracharya as the silence for knowing our true nature, for our Aparokshanubhuti. What is that? It is when you abandon the nomenclature for interaction with the world of objects. What happens is that we are not dependent on the what you call the the words or the nomenclature, etc. And then what happens is that this gives rise us, or this makes us feel that we are free from any dependency on the words. That is the silence, not silence by, keeping your mouth shut, or even the names and forms used in our mind. Even utterances in the mind is not silence. The total dependency, where the reach of the mind and the speech ceases without expression. That is what is the state of Brahman, Atman, or Tatapi Yogi Gamya. That is what is accessible by the yogis. The yogis are not silent because they want to be silent by words or, uttering words. They are not depending upon the words either by mouth or ears or by mind. These are the three places where the words will come into picture, or the nomenclatures or the sound will come into picture. We are not uttering anything, we are not hearing anything, we are not using our mind for even categorizing them. When the mind becomes absent of these activities of dependencies on the nomenclature, that is what is called yogi bihi jnana pratyekatma abhinna prapya. Tat prasiddham eva brahma swarupam Mounam. That is the Mounam, or the silence, which is nothing but the nature of Brahman. That means in the Brahman or Atman, or in our own nature, words or mind has nothing to play. That is why yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha. Taittiriya Upanishad said that. The one who is knowledgeable about this, sarvada buddho viveki bhavet, tad aham asmi iti anusandhyat. That wise person who has now non-dependency on the verbs or the words, either verbal, auditory, or in the mind. Sarvada, always, viveki bhavet, that remains he becomes discriminated from the phenomenal world of names and forms to see or to be in the reality where the truth or the reality of existence of the phenomenal world, which includes yourself, and the phenomena or the names and forms which were consumed by us with the way names and forms, but now in the absence of names and forms or dependencies on the words and form, the same objects become ourselves. The I-ness also goes, the otherness also goes. There is no I-ness, no otherness. And when the absence of I-ness and otherness is realized or experienced by us, the statement tadaham asmi iti, I am that, aham brahmasmi. This is the what you call the anubhava or anubhuti or realization or the experience or the what you call realization of the person who now has dissolved the duality of himself and the otherness into one substratum by the Bhada Samanyadhikarana. When we are not having the two duality, the phenomenal world is not separate from that awareness in which the name and form of me, the name and form of the world are no more there. That state of silence or the non-dependency on the names and forms is the place where the realization that I am Brahman or Aham Brahmasmi becomes a reality for me, for us, anyone who has come to that state of this. Whether through neti, which is in the Bharataranya, where it said that, when you do that way, you end up here because dependency on the word or jāti, guna, kriya, or all the dependencies of the words is abandoned. And then, yato vacho nivartande aprapya manasa saha, that along with the neti becomes yat sakshat aparokshat brahma. That is the time when the Brahman, Atman, or my own nature becomes immediate and non-mediated self-experience. I don't have to meditate upon. Nothing is there as a medium to have self-experience. That experience of myself is not through a medium. It is myself. And that is where this Mounam has so much of importance. It is not muteness what is the well-known usage which is used in the yoga marga. Mauna. This is the prasiddha. Mounam is when you know gire Mounam means the words are not uttered. Not that way. Shankaracharya is saying that is not the silence which we are talking about. We are talking about that Mounam where it becomes one with the Brahman. Once these superimpositions of dependencies of the words are removed by using neti, what is left is what you call bhada or nivritti. When it is, there is nothing more to be removed or nothing more to be denied with the names and forms. This Brahman becomes shines, which is self-evident in consciousness. I don't need anything else to know myself. I don't need a word to know who I am. If I want to know as Bindo or Jay or Revati or Prakash, words are required. But they are all being names used for my physicality, of our physicality. But our experience, even of the physicality, doesn't depend upon any words or any nomenclature. That is the time when tadaham asmi or aham brahmasmi becomes the positive silence. Then we took 108 and 109 together, where the words were used that vacho yasyan nivartate tad vaktum kena shakyate prapancho yadi vaktavya sobi shabda vivarjitaha iti va tad eva maunam santam sahaja samnitam gira maunam tu balanam prayuktam brahmavadibihi. Now he is explaining this Mauna. See, the Mounam which is being referred by here by Shankaracharya is so much important that he has used two more verses to make or to bring clarity for us. Who, by saying that, who can describe that Brahman which cannot be uttered by any other word? Even the word Brahman is not applicable to Brahman. Even the word Atma or self is not applicable to ourselves. The moment we utter anything or we try to, what you call, explain it, we are deviating from our trueness. The truth is not what can be explained. So silence becomes inevitable while describing Brahman. That is why in the famous Dakshinamurti Stotra saying, Mounam is the way through which Dakshinamurti taught the first 7 rishis, Sanakadi. He didn't utter anything because he didn't have to utter, because the students were ripe and they didn't have to hear anything. By mere presence of the Guru and in the silence of the Guru, the students who were ripe enough realized it themselves who they are. Mauna-vyakya pragatita parabrahma tattvam yuvanam vrasishtande vasadrishiganai avrutam brahmanurte. That Dakshinamurti Stotram. So, if anybody wants to explain it, it is not Atman or Brahman. It is indicating towards Atman or Brahman. If the phenomenal world were to be described, even that is beyond words. This is the alternate definition, may also be termed as silence, known among the sages as congenital. The observance of silence by restraining speech, on the other hand, is ordained by teachers of Brahman for the ignorant. So here, you have to understand that what is being, even the phenomenal world, when we use the words, we are deviating the reality and into something which is unreal. Just like saying that it is a man when the reality is a post, or it is, and saying it is a snake when the reality is rope. Same way, the whole phenomenal experience or the phenomenality of the world is nothing but Brahman. But the moment we use the words like this is sun, this is the moon, I am, the otherness, the word, the sun, the vision, the auditory things, using our sense organs, we are deviating from describing Brahman, and we are telling what is not the reality. So if I am saying sun or the moon or the earth, I am deviating from telling the truth of the sun, the moon and the earth. The truth is that the sun, the moon, the earth are all nothing but the Brahman only. That truth only. But when we use the nomenclature like the sun, the moon, the earth, or I am seeing it, or it is a vision, or it is sound, etc., we are phenomenal world. Even that is beyond the truth. We are deviating beyond the truth to explain the phenomenal world. That is why we are never able to tell the truth or describe or explain that reality to anybody. Now the Vidyaranya says that Nanu idam pratyagabhinna brahma anusandhanam dhyana rupam chadurdasham angam pratiyate iti ashankya swa prasyad prakandarena maunam eva laksheti. Now, if there is an objection that this contemplation, anusandhanam, non-different from this pratyagatma, that is, when I am observing or seeing an object in the phenomenal world, and I am not going to use the nomenclature of the phenomenality of the words and the nama rupa, etc. I am doing a contemplation on the self, which is mine, as now being presented as an object. But I am not going to use my name and form, which is there in my mind, to define the phenomenal world. That is what is called the Mounam, which is being referred here. It's a meditation by itself. If somebody wants to do that, try to observe the whole world of experience. Remain in the experience without defining, without qualifying it, without analyzing it, being aware of the awareness in which it is being presented. When that is happening, the duality dissolves. There is no I, there is no it separate from that. Because both the I-ness and the otherness in the it is devoid of the name and form and the name qualification of, because of which the separation itself is depending upon. Because the dependability for the separation is on the name and the form. The moment you dissolve the separation, how do you do that? By removing the nomenclature, the definitions, the dependencies on the definitions and the thing, but remaining in pure experience without the dependencies of the name and form of the nomenclature. That is where the words are not required. Shadda pravritti nivitta avavad brahma yata vak avishayam tada nama rupa jāti adi prapancho api sat asat adi vikalpa asahritva vakatitaha. When this shabda pravritti nimitta bhavat, when were dependency nimitta bhavat, but activity on the words, etc. Vak avishayam kritva. The words are no more the object. I am seeing a tree, but I am now going to remove the nomenclature, it's a tree. I am seeing the, what you call, the branches, the trunk, the leaves, etc., which are got names. I am now removing those dependencies of that, of the tree. So, jāti, guna, kriya, all that is class, quality and activity with which I have been defining the tree is now no more used by me for their definition, for the defining the phenomenality of the multitude of the phenomenon manifold. Even the sat, asat, adi vikalpa, that it is there, it is not there, even that type of it, the tree is there now, it is not there later. That also has to depend upon the words, the tree. When I am removing the dependency on the word tree, I cannot even use the word the tree is there or tree is not there type of it, categorization. So dualistic nature in which I have been doing this transaction with the world is the reason why the transactional world is appearing to be real and separate from me. The moment I do away with that dependencies on the names and forms, nama, rupa, jāti, etc., all the qualifications, adjectives, dependencies on, my sense organs and the mind, to categorize them. The phenomenal world and myself do not appear to be, not being experienced by me as separate and two. Ekattum anupashyata. There is a unison or unity or the oneness, the non-dual experience of Aparokshanubhuti, pratyagabhinna atma. That becomes a reality to each and every one of us. That Atma is nirvishesha, beyond attributes. No word for any attribution we need words. So nirvishesha means the Brahman or Atman is without any this thing. And this abidance in the pure nature without the dependencies, where the speech has no role. Speech, no role means not only the speech, the form, the taste, the touch, dependencies on the sense organs or this thing. I am not in any transactional mode. The transaction has dependency on these things. That non-transactional state of beingness where merges the phenomenal world with us is the silence of the yogis, which is being referred by Shankaracharya in the previous verses, or even in the Taittiriya Upanishads 2.9 says, Yajovado nivartande aprapya manasasaha. We had a detailed discussion about that. It is the same mind where experience will happen. That time the mind is not mind anymore. The mind becomes me, the consciousness, the awareness, the nature of my own nature. The mind is not separate from me. It is no more having the dependency for the sense organs. Therefore, I know what is happening in my mind will not happen. Because if anything happens in the mind, it has to depend upon the names and the forms. But at the same time, when I am shining, the mind is not separate from me. As long as I don't use the name and form, there is no mind separate from me. That is the time yat sakshat aparokshat brahma. becomes an immediate knowledge or immediate experience of being one with everything in this world. This is happening to us every time. In this very moment also, that is the reality. But we are clouded, camouflaged, and therefore the dependency on the names and forms makes us victims for the duality and the separation. But when Shankaracharya says that the reality is the Mounam or the silence where the dependencies of the way names and forms are not there, that state has to be here and now, this very moment. If it is not there, it will become like anything else achievable. And if anything is achievable, it is within the span of time and space. And what is within the span of time and space is also perishable, ephemeral, because of the time and space. My knowing of time and space itself is the proof that I am beyond time and space. In me, the time and space is existing. I am aware of that. But when I remove the name of space and time from them, the space and time becomes myself. I am the space, I am the time. There is no space or time with the names and nomenclatures separately from me. This state of silence or being in my own nature is the Mounam which has been referred by Shankaracharya in the verses till now. We will continue the 9th and 10th mantra in the coming class, because Vidyaranya is taking us to a level which is Sahaja Sthiti, means natural effortless abidance in self. How this can be done, we will discuss in the coming class. I'll stop here. We'll continue in the Monday's class. Those who are in Australia will have time change coming from this Sunday, but I don't think in the US time change is taking place. But if any other country time change is taking place, please take note of the time change. But we will stick to the same time of Indian Standard Time, which is 6:30 a.m. for our Monday class. I'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much, Bindoji. As usual, a very profound session into Upeksha and following what we had last session. So I've opened the hand raising and the chat. So if anybody has a question, Bindoji is available for a while. To any doubt with regards to this process, you can come up and ask. And no question is a wrong question, according to Binduji.
Hari Om Binduji, Prakash ji,
Hari Om.
Namaste. Namaste.
Yes.
Binduji, the Mounam is, we can understand it as Amani Bhava, or if there is observation for who is in the Mauna state, if the observation is there, then it's not the Amani Bhava.
Yes.
So, is it Amani Bhava or is it Sakshi? How to understand
It is neither, no, it is not the Sakshi. Sakshi has to have one who is seeing and one with the witness and the objects of the witness. Whether it is waking, dream or deep sleep, doesn't matter. Whereas Amani Bhava, where the mind exists, but the potency of the mind to mind things, to be mind, is now dissolved in the silence where the mind is not dependent on the names and forms and other things to experience what is happening in the mind. That mind becomes a state of Amani Bhava. That is the Mounam what is being referred here.
Yes, Binduji. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Revati. Since nobody is there, Prakash, we can, I think, wind up.
Sure, Binduji. I think if nobody else is, we can give a couple of minutes or a minute or so. But in the meantime, I'll thank everyone for coming for this 38th session of Aparokshanubhuti. And as I mentioned earlier, all the replays are available on Clubhouse, or you can catch up on the Advaita Retold channel. And the good part about it, from my own personal experience, is listening to the session once more, because there's a lot of practical pointers in this series of sessions in the last at least 7 or 8 rooms. There's a lot of in-depth series of steps for the practitioner. Along with the listening, you're also going to gain those insights into how to practice. I think Jay is coming up.
Binduji.
Namaste, Jay. Yes.
Yeah. So I keep hearing this Nama Rupa. So now even the physical external world, which is Rupa, is visible in the mind, and even the Nama, which are just names, they are also representations in the mind. So in a sense, everything happens in the mind.
Right.
Okay. So, but still, this physical external world also seems to exist in reality, which is also shared by many people. Even though the physical universe and the internal world both are created and run and managed are consciousness only, but looks like it is separate, and then many people can validate. But still, even that Rupa, which is physical universe, is also the consciousness, and even the Nama, which is an internal projection of the human mind, that itself is made up of consciousness only anyway. Right? So that is how so this proves the illusory nature of the physical world. Is it, Binduji?
Not exactly the way in which you have explained it. The phenomenal world includes the one who says there is a phenomenal world, or who is saying that I am experiencing phenomenal world. When he is part of the phenomenal world, he should also understand that the people who are sharing the phenomenal world are also similar to himself. When Jay is thinking that Jay is a reality, and in my mind, I am experiencing the phenomenal world and experiencing Bindo talking, Prakash talking, Revati talking, and, my family world, everything is. Where does these ideas or the name and form and the experiences of the world, including the Jay, take place? It takes place in the mind. But the same mind is abandoning everything and experiencing another set of experiences, which we call it as dream. And then both dream and waking is abandoned, and dependencies of the names and forms of the dream, names and forms of the waking, both after having abandoned, I remain in a state where I cannot say even I existed, because I am not there to say I existed. I as J did not exist, but existence, or the way in which the experience which happened where I knew nothing, the absence of anything with the name and form and nomenclature, being present is acknowledged, the absence is acknowledged, to say that I knew nothing. That mind which is not even knowing that I am Jay, there is a space or a time or the world of waking or the world of dream, none of them exist. But I know nothing is a statement which is being made by the waker when he remembers that there was waking, dream, and an absent state from the waker's point of view. So the waker is the one which is saying there is a deep sleep. But actually there is no deep sleep at all. What is reality is the awareness alone existed. That awareness, when it starts projecting, it can either project as a dream, then you become the dreamer and the dream world. That a projection becomes the dreamer and the dream world, not the Jay. But when it projects the waking, that awareness becomes the Jay. The people who are sharing that experience of the world and the phenomenal world is all projected by that same awareness. Because that is the nature of awareness, like the nature of light, sunlight, or any light, that anything comes in it is lit. Imagine the sun without any planets or stars or anything in this thing. It will appear as dark. For it itself will not know whether it is shining or not. So it will say, I know nothing. Or I am not lighting up anything. I am the sun, but I am not lighting up anything. That will be the statement of that sun. Same way, I am saying now, I knew nothing because I did not project the dreamer or the dream world or I did not project the waking and the waking world phenomena. But when I come to the waking world, I am dependent upon the mind. Therefore, I become Jai. I become the person who is listening to Prakash, Bindo, Revati and others, and then interacting with the world, common shared experience, everything. All this thing is now creation by the mind of Jai. The same mind was saying, I knew nothing when it was pure. And the same mind said, I am not Jai, but I became something else in my dream and that dream world and dream experience. And this is the same Jai when it was not experiencing anything, is now experiencing Jai and is saying that Bindo is talking, or Prakash is talking, or is Revati talking. But there is no separate Bindo, there is no separate Prakash, no separate Revati. There is no separate Jai also. It is all the same thing only which is now appearing as separate Jai, Bindo, Revati or Prakash or the world or the phenomenal world, the shared experiences. It is all being done in the mind, by the mind, because of the dependency of the names and the forms. When that mind becomes independent of the names and the forms, what Revati said, the Amani Bhava, which is told in the Mandukya Upanishad, it is present even in dream, deep sleep and waking. It is not a Sakshi. It is beyond that. Ebhyo Vilakshana Sakshi. That Sakshi which is even without even the Sakshi as a Lakshana, as a nomenclature. Chit Matram, consciousness alone is my nature. I am not I. Even the word I, it becomes useless there. That is when the silence, Mauni or the yogi becomes silent. He doesn't want to, he can't explain it, he can't express it, but he realizes that is his nature. And he becomes quiet, silent, not uttering anything, but immersed in that being of non-dependent awareness. There are no words to express that.
Before I ask my next extended question, I just want to share with you all a story which I read 30 years ago. Today I understood it. It's a very simple story. So all the darknesses hate sun and they go to Brahma to complain, sir, wherever I go, the sun is coming in and destroying us. And then Brahma said, okay, I'll speak about it to the sun. And then Brahma goes to the sun and he says, hey sun, like you are destroying all this darkness wherever it comes. Why you are doing this? Then sun asks, Brahma, I don't even know the existence of darkness. Please, if there is anybody being pained because of me, please ask them to come in front of me. I want to apologize. And try not to do that.
Right.
So
It's a beautiful story anyway.
Binduji, I read this 30 years ago and then I know it stuck to my mind until 5 minutes ago before you told this. I did not understand this. It's a funny story. Yeah. How can sun, darkness come in front of the sun? But in reality, for that one wholeness, only it exists. Like everything else is like, we cannot go to that wholeness and say, sir, I'm separate from you. We can't even, because only that exists. So that story clicked, and I clearly remember I read this 30 years ago. Okay.
Absolutely.
So now,
thank you, Jay.
Pleasure. My question is, okay, so then what happens to this personality of Jay? Only related story, again read from Osho, but this is told by Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So somebody asked Ramakrishna, what happens to the personality? Then he says, this journey of Advaita or knowing God or the wholeness is like a salt doll trying to measure the depth of the ocean. It will start, it will have a body, all those things, but when keep on going deeper and deeper, then the salt doll will vanish and it will know it is actually, its reality is the ocean. So like that, Binduji, this J's personality also will vanish and at maximum there's only a laughter at the end of this cosmic joke.
Absolutely. This Jay, this Prakash, this Bindu, this Revati, Lit, or Akhilesh, or Jesse, Ruth, or Nagis, or anybody, Joseph, or Muhammad, or anybody for that matter. These are all the names which we think we are in our waking. Because of the names and the forms, we think we are. But if we are the waker, we should be present all the time. All the time, all the space, everywhere it should be available. But that is not the case. What happened to Bindu as a waker, I cannot say when I am in my dream. In my dream or in the dream, neither the Bindu nor the physicality or the physical world of the Bindu is not there. What happened to Bindu also not known to the dreamer. Whether the Bindu was dead or alive, or that world which was created by Bindu was real or alive, do not know. But when he goes, when that state of Hamani Bhava comes, or when the dependency on the names and forms are totally done away with, without the dependency of that, is the state where the salt doll has measured the depth, or that state where we have known that all that in the waking and all that in the dream have come from that state where there were no names and forms. What came up was names and forms, and I transact with names and forms, and I abandon the names and forms and go back to myself. There is no I also, because this I also is a name and form in the waker. So you have to understand it from the point of view that who you are, that should become your true nature. Only from that, the state, it becomes a silence or Mounam.
Binduji, to extend this, okay, so that one universe or one which is not in time, not in space, doesn't have any particular quality, is running this or creating the physical universe also, and this this mind also, and projections also it is happening, and then dream is also happening, and projections are also happening, and in one sense this physical universe running is also like dream-like quality. But, and also in Advaita, they say that this universe is like spontaneous. It's only here now, not in time. But scientists precisely say this universe is 13.8 billion years exactly, and every day is 24 hours, and then they measure this, and this repeatability is perfect and exact. Now, and maybe this is Kala Chakra or whatever, I don't know. But from your point of view or from Advaita's point of view, how is that there is like from 13.8 billion years, this is persistently and consistently repeating and behaving in the same way? See, dream comes and goes. Yeah, even in the dream, it might look like 100 years and all those things. Obviously, from out of nothing, inside dream also a billion years can be created. So, but dreams are haphazard and there's no logic there, moves here, 100 years, 1 second, everything is the same. But in the physical universe, how is it this physical universe is so precise, so exact, and so repeating? I mean, that is how the universe, I mean, the one wholeness is running the show. Obviously, I'm nobody to question this. Why is it like 1 hour, 1 day is 24 hours exactly and precisely, and sun rises exactly the same way, and the temperature is around 25, this thing. There are so many things happening. So why is it precise and why is it not haphazard and random like a dream? Binduji?
If you really look into that, this from a minute measure of time to second, to hour, to 24 hours, week, year, time, light year, and the 13 billion years or 14 billion years or everything is a mental experience. It is experienced by the mind. We may not be able to experience for 13.8 billion light years, etc., all those things. But we are experiencing the minute, the hour, the day, the year, etc. The fraction side as well as the expansion side into the multitude of billion or million is only the same measure which is being multiplied. 1 year multiplied by light year or whatever may be the space and time changes. All that is experienced is due to the dependency of the mind for the sense organs, on the sense organs, including the intellect and the mind itself, for logic, reasoning, and names and forms. And if you can remove the names and the dependency of the names and forms, in the sense that I am not telling that what is 1 year. My experience of 1 year is there or 1 day is there. But when I am removing the day and the time of 1 year or 1 day or a thing, the mind is still experiencing something. But I don't call it as a day or anything. It becomes pure experience without any definition. In that pure experience, anything and everything other than, say, for example, time. Now, if I take an object, physicality of the object, that also becomes similar experience only. Like how I experienced time, now I am experiencing the solidity of something. Again, that is depending upon the name and the quality. If I am experiencing light, sound, taste, touch, everything if I am taking it is depending, but they all depend upon what is called anubhava or experience. Without experiencing, there is no day, there is no solidity, there is no color, there is no taste, nothing about it. So everything is coming down to one thing called experience. And now what is that experience? The experience is our being it. What is experienced as J, as a name and form, is you are experiencing your being J. Now, when I remove the J as a name and form from that, I cannot remove the experiencing aspect of J. Because I removed only the name and form of it. So when you are experiencing yourself, but you do not experience the name and form of J, there is something which you are experiencing as yourself. That experiencing and you are not two things at that time. Because you are not separate and you are experiencing something separate. No. There is no two things which are here, that is. That you become the experiencing, or you become the awareness, or you become the consciousness, in which we call that being consciousness or being aware as an experience. Till then, the dependency of the name and form was there. Therefore, the experiencing of J became a reality. But the moment you remove the dependency on the name and the form and everything, the experiencing will stop being an experiencing, but it will become my awareness or my consciousness of I being myself. I don't know whether you are able to shift yourself to that or not.
Beautiful, Binduji. Thank you. That's all questions from my side.
Thank you, Jay. Prakash, can we stop?
Okay. Thank you, Jay, for the questions. So our next session is on Monday at 6:30 IST. And hope to see you all there. Thank you very much, Binduji. Hari Om.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Jai, Revati, and others for being there. See you all on Monday, same time. Hari Om.
Hari Om.